Now in the previous video we talked about how to set up the dialog, and we basically done that. Now we're going to do the search part, actually the actual way how we are doing the search. Now inside the dialog I'm just pretty much loading a turbo frame that is calling a search. So if we comment this out, the dialog is quite empty, and inside I'm calling turbo frame load search. And the actual search is if I just call the search /search, you can see this way I'm calling turbo frame to lazily load the search bar. The search is actually lives on its own, and if I search something for Hotwire, don't mind if the search is not fully working yet, it's more about how to set up. So I have this controller for searching, so app controllers, search controllers, it can be anything really, and I just set it up as now don't mind these, I'm still figuring out stuff here, but important here is I'm configuring the routes for resource search. It can be resources search by just like the way how this feels with like a show action. Now pretty much when I load /search, I'm loading the show action. If I use the resources, it will load the index action, but because this is /resource search, it's loading the search, and we have this before action that is setting the entries. Now in all normal cases I'm setting okay, just set the entries to none, which will just always set give back like an empty action. This is action record relationship, I think. And if not, I'm doing search for the query. I'm using here Elasticsearch, but like it doesn't really matter. Like I'm just using Elasticsearch because I like it, but this could be like literally like an entry, something like this, and it will still do the same. Like entry where I like what the params that are being passed. So it doesn't matter. What does matter is like how this is being rendered. And in this particular case, I would like to use like a Turbo 8 morphing, but the thing is, this is not the best implementation for search. Turbo 8 morphing is not the best implementation for search. And the thing is, like, my original idea was like, okay, let's do like a term AAA and term Hotwire, and that could morph the searches. The problem is like the Turbo 8 is, from what I understand, is it works when you have like a content pages. That means like the same content, you are updating the same content. Whereas here, whenever you are like, let's say, if you have this page and you just change like delete one letter from the query, now you have a different URL. So it will not work. So here we need to do like use turbo streams to update the search results. So here when I'm typing, it's being auto-submitting the form. I will show you how that's being done later, but the thing is like as if I were clicking the search button, results are appearing here. When I click this search button, I'm calling the create for the search controller, and pretty much because we are setting the entries for both the show and the create, the functionality is the same, for create, I'm just updating the turbo stream. Let's look into the turbo stream. I'm just calling OK, update the results in the deal that has the ID search entries results, and I'm just calling the partial with the results. And the partial pretty much just goes through entries and renders them. So basically this. And if there are no results, you are saying no results. So power of turbo. It's really, we are just rendering a partial where we're going to all the entries and rendering the individual results. Doesn't matter what way. So in the future, this will be like doing like highlighting of search parts or like matching strings. But for now, it's just displaying the title. But whatever. Now let's go back to the here's the show action. So here we are doing actually here we have the search entries results, the one that we are updating y turbo stream. So here we're saying turbo stream updates search entries results, and for those results we are rendering the results. So that's this part basically. So each time I click search, it will render here. Now, reason why this auto typing works is like you may thought, okay, he's sending requests each time he type a letter. That's technically true, but I'm not using JavaScript to do that. I'm rather doing this kind of trick that I really like and prefer. Forms. I'm using like here we have like whenever we have a form, inside the form we are saying, okay, we are going to use the stimulus controller form submitter, and inside the controller form submitter, whenever I type something in the text field, I'm doing data action on key up. Whenever not key is pressed, but when a key is released, we are calling form submitter call. So let's check the form submitter. What is it doing? And have the form submitter is really, I can just delete this really simple JavaScript logic where I'm just accepting one target, which is the submit button, and I'm clicking the submit button. So yeah, if it looks stupid, it's because it is, and that's why it's beautiful. Yes, you could do like yes, you could use like how it's called request.js from Rails to do the actual calls. But why? Here, when you are clicking the button, you are taking all the benefits of whether it's turbo frame or turbo morphing or whatever, as if you were clicking the button. So even if we have this button here, like even if we don't want to show it for any reason, just say hidden. Yeah, let's hide it, or let's say, okay, only screen readers, SR only. So only screen readers will show that button. If I type, I'm still triggering that hidden button functionality. And that's thanks to really simple stimulus controller that is just whenever the controller is called, I'm just clicking the button. JavaScript is clicking button for you. And when it's clicking, the click is happening whenever you when a key up event happens. So let's check it out. Here we have the input. You can see data action key up form submitter call. Whenever you press button but you release it, triggers a call. And it's not doing JavaScript call with request.js, just clicking a button. 99%, no, not 99, but at least 90% of cases, this is far better solution than just JavaScript with request.js or Vue.js or whatever fetch JavaScript functionality. Doesn't matter. Okay, back to the point. So let's see how this works when we go to the dialog. So let's repeat the second. If you go to application, application layout. Here we have the dialog, and inside the dialog we are calling a TurboFrame search. We are just telling it, okay, please load the search frame inside this dialog. And that will call the search controller. And inside the search controller we are saying, okay, here's the TurboFrame search. So basically that frame gets loaded here. So to demonstrate this, let me do one trick that I have. I have this debug CSS, which is basically creating a border on any TurboFrame, and I'm enabling it whenever I'm inside the development environment. I have the debug debug environment variable. So let me start the Rails server with the debug. So now if I load the URL, I have the border around the TurboFrame. So here you can see what is being loaded. If I even load the original standalone search controller, here you have the border. So inside the dialog, inside the frame that we are calling here, TurboFrame search, we are calling lazily loading the search controller show action search TurboFrame that gets loaded inside. And whenever we are typing we are filling in the results same way as we are filling in them here. So other way would be just inside the dialog, don't do the TurboFrame, just load a partial with the form and just stream the results here, and sure, that would work. It's definitely a possibility. I like it better this way because debugging is much easier when we decompose our routes. Like, this is one thing that I really like about the way how Rails 7, Rails 8 is heading. We are decomposing more because then you can do individual, not components, but individual controllers are responsible for individual functionality. As soon as we start mixing partials in it, yeah, it's the same, but it's unnecessarily here being TurboFrame loaded, it's much easier for me than to go and debug it individually by the route. So, but yeah, it's more about opinion, whether you want to just load it from partial or load it from a controller into a TurboFrame. It's up to you. So cool. So this is it. So to summarize, we have a dialog. Dialog is loading a TurboFrame from the search controller. The search controller is turbo streaming the results by the create action, and the stream is happening by updating the search entries results with the results. And the way how the search entries results look like, here's the div, and here's the field for input. So whatever you see here is pretty much the whole thing that you see now. So it's the form plus search entries results. And the search entries results, I have it in a partial like this. It could be definitely this could be converted to a separate partial and just loaded as a smaller partial with a partial collections, but doesn't really matter in this particular case. One other thing, two gotchas. Now, because we are streaming into a TurboFrame, whenever you click on the link, it needs to take you somewhere. Now, in order to achieve that, the actual link of the result, I have a TurboFrame top. TurboFrame top is doing pretty much breaking out of the frame you are within. So if I remove this, what will happen is like my search results would load missing content because they will try to load the results inside the turbo frame. Now, because we don't want that, that turbo frame top or different frame if you want to. And another gotcha is the reason why I have this. I have a layout here for the whole thing, the dialog and the page. Here on the search controller, I'm not loading any layout. So if you check the search controllers, I'm saying layout basic, and the basic layout is pretty much just the head, the flash, and the body, you know. So the application layout has far more things, and the reason for that is because we do load a bunch of IDs throughout the layout. So for example, here I already have the ID for the entries. I have the turbo frame, which has pretty much its own ID, and in HTML you can have only one ID per element. Now, if I load the searches controller with in the application layout, what will happen? Those IDs will collide. So let me demonstrate that. If I do, let's remove this, it will use the application layout. Now let me search for anything. No results. No results. Why? Because they are appearing here in the different ID. So Turbos is streaming to the first ID, and the second ID is pretty much saying no results all the time. So be careful with this. This is why I'm gotcha always with turbo frames. You need to be careful with the IDs and turbo streams IDs. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I will link the notes for dialogues and to this Turbos Super Rails episode in the show notes.